So with all of this kind of joblessness and the economy going down, one of the things that you see on the rise today is mental health issues. A lot of mental health issues. With that comes opioid crisis. How can we deal with that? And in America, a lot of the things that we see also can be attributed maybe to a spiritual deficiency. Mm-hmm. So how can we take an integrated approach to tackling that in America?
A couple of things. Just the infrastructure that we needed to tackle mental illness was decimated in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And here's why it happened.
Okay.
Back in the day, when people had mental illness, we very wrongfully used to put them in psychiatric hospitals and shut the door. And that was wrong and terrible. And so the idea was, well, we have new medications and new ways of treating, so why don't we shut those big hospitals down and build up outpatient mental health facilities that could take care of them? But what happened was, when we shut down those psychiatric hospitals, we never built the mental health centers. And you know where a lot of those folks went? Jail.
On the streets, or jail.
Right. Yeah, okay. So in the 1800s, for example, 0.5% of people in jails had a diagnosable mental illness. Today, 1 in 5 does.
Wow.
And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our inability to care for people has put them out on the streets, which then ultimately puts them in jail.
Yeah.
So we've got to solve that. We've got to be building out our outpatient mental health facilities. But there's another side of it that you talked about. A lot of the system of American life hasn't necessarily empowered people personally, psychologically, and spiritually.
Yeah.
And so many more of us are living alone. We're lonelier than we've ever been. And the interesting thing about it is that you've got a phone in your hand, right?
Yeah.
I presume right now you've got your interview material, we're having a great conversation. Yep. But I presume when you've got that phone in your hand, it's usually not because you're talking to somebody.
Yeah,
it's usually because you're just looking right at it.
That's true. Very true.
And there's some really interesting research that shows that people who go on social media more are more likely to feel socially isolated. We turn to these things, and they keep us from actually being engaged in the world around us.
Yeah.
And we're not building the kinds of spaces that bring people together.
Right.
So there's some really interesting thought about what it means to build public places and spaces that bring people together.
Yeah.
And really start emphasizing a life that people have real, healthy social relationships. Because the reality of it is that you don't, we talk about taking care of yourself. We don't really take care of ourselves as humans. We take care of each other. And we've stopped doing that for a really long time.
That's really profound. Yeah, I really feel that. You go around and people are on their phones, and a lot of times you would expect in this situation that people would be talking to each other and stuff, even with your own friends. So definitely something that needs to be tackled. So.